How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about a movie called The Leprechauns Game. This is directed by Louisa Warren, who also has a writing and directing credit on a writing and producing credit on here, and stars Tieu as the Leprechaun. Kind of weird that the Leprechaun gets top billing. Not a lot of movies put their monster as top billing, so it's cool to see that. The top human is Sawicki. Sorry if I mispronounced any of that. This movie is from 2020, but a lot of us here in America wouldn't see it till it came direct to video in 2021, slightly before St. Patrick's Day. This I found in Walmart. It was their only Leprechaun St. Patrick's Day horror movie, so kind of had a monopoly on it there. And in turn, it reached probably a pretty big audience because it's the only new Leprechaun horror movie in Walmart. Now, if you've been keeping up with direct-to-video movies, I'm going to tell you something and you'll understand a good chunk of what this movie's like. This is a micro-budget British horror movie, and for whatever reason, these have been flooding direct-to-video lately. A ton of micro-budget British horror movies. And if you've seen one, they're all about the same quality, so you can kind of know what to expect. Now that being said, I'm not a comedy channel, I'm not a tear-down channel. I'm not going to be trying to dig into this movie and tear it apart. I'm going to be giving it an honest review, but that being said, I'm not going to inflate it because it's a low-budget movie. I'm going to be honest, which will mean covering the flaws, and there are a few, but I'm not going to try to tear it apart for fun. So let's go ahead and jump right into the plot. No major spoilers, but I want to say my piece on a few plot points, as well as make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what this movie's about. This movie stars a small-time thief who is trying to get out of the business. He recently had a job that almost got him thrown in jail, and he just barely escaped. We don't find out too much about this job, despite the fact that it's referenced a lot, other than that he almost got 15 years in prison. It was a thieving job, and they just simply didn't have enough evidence on him. I thought it might be cool if they went back and, made this into some cool story, but it's just referenced and never expanded upon, and it's referenced a lot. But anyway, he wants to get out of the business, but he finds out his girlfriend's pregnant, and they don't have enough money to support the kid. She suggests aborting it, but he really wants it, so when his old partner says, hey, do you want to do one last job, he has no choice because he wants to support his kid. They go to this meeting room where they meet a guy who's a collector. He has things like Yeti fur and Bigfoot's claw. We don't see any of this because it's in a meeting room and there's not enough budget for it, I guess. Would have been cool. But he tells these people he wants to go and get some leprechaun gold. Now, it's dangerous. He's not going to go himself. He's going to pay these people $1,000 a piece for their effort, but if they actually find the gold, they're going to get $100,000, which is a pretty big payout if you need money. Now, they get a crew together and simply go to the end of the rainbow, which did bug me because you can't. I thought the collector might say, I have a map or something, some secret as to how to get there, but no, they don't need anything special. They just drive to the end of the rainbow, which is physically impossible. Brief science break, but basically, when it rains and shortly after, there's a bunch of water droplets in the air. These water droplets act like prisms, as illustrated by Pink Floyd here. Light comes in and is refracted into colors. Now, this refraction is everything at a certain angle. I think it's like 42.5 degrees or something. So this is actually a circle. This circle of refracted light in your rainbow colors is divided by the horizon line, but it's not actually something that touches the ground. It's just how your eye sees that refracted color, and the horizon prevents you from seeing the bottom of the circle. If you are on a high mountain or in a plane and you saw a rainbow, you might actually get a chance to see the complete circle rainbow, or you could just Google it. But that being said, because it's how the light is refracted and goes into your eye, you can't physically walk to the end of a rainbow. If you were to follow it, the rainbow would move with you and you would simply walk until the water particles had dissipated. So this bugged me that they just kind of glossed over something as big as that, but what are you gonna do? Anyway, they get there, they search the woods for literally less than an hour, as a line of dialogue would suggest, and they simply find the bag of leprechaun coins on the ground, just lying there in a little baggie. They pick it up and realize it's enough gold to be worth about $500,000, and the guy did not pay them $500,000. He's only paying them $100,000. So of course they decide to keep the gold for themselves instead. If you want people to pick up something for you, you have to at least give them the value of the raw materials. Dumb decision on the collector's part. They decide to keep the gold, and one by one they go disappearing, thanks to the leprechaun showing up, killing them to get his gold back. There's a little bit of a scene where they think that it's the collector getting his revenge, because this is all underground shady stuff. That doesn't amount to much. It's just, hey, it's you. No, it's not, and that's all that is. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about some specific problems. First of all, the leprechaun. I want to give a big props that they actually show the leprechaun. I'm really tired of these vague, dark presences that are all over low-budget horror movies. I'm glad they actually showed us the monster. That being said, there are a few faults. The monster is played by a smaller, regular-sized person. They sadly didn't have access to a real-life little person, so this leprechaun is significantly taller than he should be, but also because it's a smaller person they found, he's really thin as well, so the leprechaun's not super bulky. In general, you want your horror movie monsters to look a little stronger so it looks like they could beat you in a fight, beat you up. But this leprechaun's pretty thin, so he's taller than he should be. He's lankier, and you do gotta mention the mask. Not really good prosthetics, it's literally just a mask, and sometimes when they do an up angle, you can literally see the seam line. His neck is not painted to match the mask either, so that is not great. The eyes do have some makeup around them, so it blends a little bit better. But yeah, everybody knows this is a mask, and everybody points it out. They see it. So it's not the best leprechaun face, it's a repainted Halloween mask. Also, the leprechaun's kind of inconsistent. Sometimes, like, when he's about, like, how you know he's about to pop up is you hear his laugh. The leprechaun, ha-ha, you know, kind of laugh. So you think he's a whimsical leprechaun. Yet when he shows up, he talks like he's in a Saw movie, so he's a serious leprechaun. But then sometimes he says jokes, so maybe he is a whimsical leprechaun. I don't know. The Saw voice, though, does make a bunch of his lines kind of hard to understand. It's an interesting idea, but it didn't quite pan out. And also, when he's talking, it seems like half the time he's non-conversational. He goes, "Where's the gold? Where's me gold?" And then other times he'll actually say stuff. So is he a one-track mind kind of zombie leprechaun, or is he a intelligent, thinking leprechaun that will, you know, tell jokes? It's inconsistent. It's also inconsistent how he kills people. Half the time it's magical, and half the time it's a slasher, which is kind of weird. The magical stuff doesn't work out 100%. It's too much, I show up, I snap my fingers, I do something with my hands, and you're just dead, which is not great tension. If you want to do something like Wishmaster, you kind of need a bigger budget to wow us with special effects, because, you know, just show up and then the leprechaun will, like, breathe powder on someone, or just wave his hands and they start dying, or just make someone blind. It's a little bit too, I show up and I kill you without a struggle. So the slasher stuff is in general better, but that being said, you know, it doesn't 100%, you know, play out. You do gotta work on building up tension, and sometimes it just doesn't work. when he's a slasher too, there's this annoying thing where he changes weapons almost like it's an inventory in a video game. He'll have a hammer, and then the next shot just have a machete instead. And then later on in the movie, it goes from baseball bat to meat cleaver with no explanation, just cut between shots. Now he has a different weapon. That did bug me. But overall, I like the slasher part more. Maybe that's just me, but it had more tension behind it. The other big thing we have to talk about is the plot. After they get the Leprechaun gold, it's super simple where it alternates between them talking about the gold, how to get the money, and what to do when their friends start disappearing. And when it's not the talking, it is Leprechaun kill sequences. Now, it stays moving fast enough, but there's nothing super interesting, no big subplots or other things. You know, it's just talking, kill sequence, kind of alternating. And there are characters with setup, but no real character development. This guy wants to afford a baby, that's a good setup, but, you know, it doesn't really pan out too much. There's not enough payoff. There's one lady whose partner is sick and needs medicine, but when the Leprechaun kills her partner, I don't remember too big of a payoff. Like, I don't even know if she knew her partner died. Like, I don't remember a big, oh no, you know, scene. Like, you have this stuff you set up, you know, it's good to get your characters moving and make them a little interesting, but, you know, it doesn't really pan out too much, and you have a little bit of personality amongst some of them, but it's not great. But yeah, overall, a very simple plot. It stays moving, but not too much interesting happens. And then, of course, the other big thing is this is low budget, very low budget, which does lead to some problems. For example, there's things that, you know, would get, you know, pointed out and changed that don't happen in low budget movies. After the prologue, there's a ton of information about the Leprechaun that really could have been shortened down, but it sort of goes out there, and when it gets to the final word, information goes up and is gone, so you have to pause it if you want to actually read it. In general, if you have text on your screen, a half second per word, so the audience has time to read it, but it's a ton of information. Pops up, goes, and that's something that would have been changed, you know, in a bigger movie. They would have been like, hey, slow that down, somebody go and do it. Later on in the movie, talk about low-budget movie inconsistencies, there's a character who says she needs to go to the bathroom, so she leaves, but rather than doing that, she looks up YouTube videos about leprechauns, which is weird that she's doing something different than what she says. There's no real reason for her to lie. But as she's doing this, it's a cameo from a YouTuber, so that's cool. But as she's doing this, they give you a ton of Leprechaun lore. Like, it cuts back and forth to this scene. It's very long, and they explain how the Leprechaun is actually a demon, and how he wanted to escape hell, and him tracking down souls. And it goes on for a while that ultimately doesn't pan out to anything significant. It is a ton of info dump there. But anyway, there's things like the gold props are obviously plastic. The gun props are obviously plastic. We talked about the Leprechaun's mask before. Because it's low budget, there's also not too much gore, so that's kind of disappointing. You could do some cool effects. You're doing a slasher movie, cool gore effects, but no, that's not in there. There's one part where the Leprechaun lights someone on fire. No real fire, not even CG fire, just an orange light, a red-orange light with some makeup on him, and he acts like he's burning. And then I think maybe there was an effect for one shot, but it's basically just a light. And then also, low budget, you get low budget actors, and they're all trying. I don't really want to tear on them too hard, but a lot of them seem like okay local theater actors, and that's about the acting level you're going to get from almost everybody. There's a few sequences where it's line, pause, you know, the just reciting lines over and over, and that weird, consistent pause between line that really just makes it feel like they're reading their lines. Not great. But that being said, I've covered a lot of the flaws. This is watchable, though. It's not the worst thing ever. If you have $10 that you're willing to blow on something. It's cheap. It's a Leprechaun movie for St. Patrick's Day. There aren't really any others, and it's watchable, but it's low budget and not great. You know, if you watch these ironically, you'll probably get more enjoyment for that. But yeah, not a great low budget Leprechaun movie. It is watchable, it's short, and it keeps things moving, and you actually see the Leprechaun, you get some semi-interesting kill stuff. Overall, not great, but like I said, watchable, and if you want to see a Leprechaun kill things this St. Patrick's Day in a new movie, you basically got this, and it's okay enough. Not great, but it's cheap, so if you wanna just know what you're getting into. Anyway, that's about it for this one. To everyone who's liked so far, thank you. Or to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really do help out the channel. I'll put a relevant playlist on the bottom if you want to see more. I cover like 95% horror movies on here, so I'm sure there's something you might be interested in. So anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom.